Imagine a secret team of codebreakers working in silence, while the fate of the world hung in the balance. Sounds like a movie, right? Well, it's not fiction, it's history. Hey there, and welcome to my channel. Have you ever heard of Alan Turing? Maybe not his name, but you've definitely heard of the incredible inventions he helped create. Computers, smartphones, maybe even self-driving cars. Well, all these innovations can trace their roots back to the work that Alan and his team did over 75 years ago. But here's the twist, their story almost never happened. So how did they break the unbreakable code, defeat the Nazis, and shape the future of technology? Let's dive in. It's the 1940s and the world is in chaos. Europe is engulfed in the Second World War, and every day brings news of new attacks, victories, and losses. But behind the front lines, there's another battle, one fought not with bombs, but with codes, ciphers, and secret messages. This is the race to crack Enigma, a nearly unbreakable encryption technology used by the German military to communicate. Now imagine trying to fight a war without being able to read the enemy's messages. You'd be like a general fighting with one hand tied behind your back. And that's exactly where the Allies found themselves. They desperately needed to decode German communications. But Enigma was seemingly an impregnable fortress of secrecy. The Germans were using a machine called Enigma, which could generate billions of letter combinations every second, making it virtually impossible to decipher their messages. Even if you guessed the right combination, it would change every day. And if you got it wrong, you just made the next guess less likely. By 1939, the French had already given up, but the British weren't having it. They set up a secret unit at Bletchley Park, a country estate in Buckinghamshire. They brought in the best minds to form a crack team of codebreakers led by the brilliant mathematician and computer scientist Alan Matheson Turing. Now, let's get one thing straight. Turing wasn't some kind of lone genius who cracked the code all by himself. He worked alongside a bunch of really smart people who came from all walks of life. There were mathematicians, chess players, writers, soldiers, basically anyone who could think strategically and logically. In fact, during the war, the team at Bletchley Park grew to include over 10,000 people. They worked around the clock in shifts to break the Enigma code, and it was a Herculean effort. Let's take a step back and look at the sheer scale of what they were up against. Imagine a typewriter with keys worn smooth from countless uses. That's how many potential messages the Enigma machine could send. With its rotors spinning, it generated a jumble of letters that looked random. To crack this code, Turing and his team needed to do something equally mind-boggling: find patterns in the seemingly random. They begin by searching for clues, analyzing the intercepted German messages for any hint of predictability. They discover that Germans didn't use the letter Z because it sounded too much like the Nazi leader's name, Hitler. They also tended to avoid sending messages starting with the word weather. You see, Germans thought British intelligence would assume a message starting with weather was about the weather, so they wouldn't bother breaking it. These little insights gave the team something to work with, a tiny crack in the Enigma's armor. But they still needed a way to test thousands upon thousands of potential decryption keys in a short amount of time. Enter the bomb. No, it's not a supervillain's evil plan. It's the brainchild of Alan Turing. This chunky machine with its banks of lights and moving parts was one of the earliest computers ever created. The bomb was programmed to test hundreds of thousands of Enigma settings in a matter of minutes, a task that would have taken years if done manually. How did he do it? Well, let's break it down. First, the operator types in the intercepted coded message. Then Turing's team fed the machine a list of potential starting keys. Next, the bomb went to work. It would try one key, then another, testing until it found the right combination of settings. When a match was found, a light flashed and the message was successfully decoded. Think of it like playing a guessing game, but instead of saying hot or cold, the bomb flashed red or green. Green meant the guess was right on the money. It was a breakthrough that turned the tide of war. With each message decoded, the Allies gained valuable intelligence, helping to thwart attacks, coordinate operations, and ultimately shorten the war. But here's the thing, for a long time, no one outside of Bletchley Park knew about it. The work of Turing and his team was top secret. If the Germans had known what they were up against, they might have changed their tactics. So the code-breaking efforts were kept under wraps until decades later. Some historians estimate that Turing's work alone may have shortened the war by 2 years, potentially saving millions of lives. But the impact of his invention goes far beyond the battlefield. It laid the foundation for modern computing, paving the way for the digital age we live in today. Think about it, almost everything we do is somehow connected to computers. We use them to work, play, learn, communicate. They're like the new universal language. But it wasn't easy getting from those bulky machines at Bletchley Park to the sleek devices we carry around today. After the war, Turing and his team continued to refine their methods and machines, developing technologies that are still used today. But along the way, they faced challenges. Some people didn't understand the importance of their work. Others thought it was too expensive or complicated. But through it all, they persevered, driven by a desire to make sense of the chaos of war and to build a better future. And that brings us to the question we posed at the start. What if Turing and his team had never cracked the Enigma code? It's hard to say how the war would have played out, but it's safe to say it would have been much, much harder. The Allies might have lost valuable battles and perhaps even the war itself. And without the foundation of coding and computing that Turing established, we might still be waiting for the digital age. So the next time you use a smartphone, watch a YouTube video, or send an email, take a moment to think about those who came before us. People like Alan Turing and his team whose brilliance and dedication helped to create the world we live in today. I know this has been a lot to take in, so why don't we take a little breather and review everything we've learned. The year is 1939 and the world is in the middle of the Second World War. Germany is using a machine called Enigma to encrypt their messages. The British desperately need to decode these messages, but it seems like an impossible task. Enter Alan Turing and his team of codebreakers at Bletchley Park. They work tirelessly to find a way to crack the Enigma code. After analyzing intercepted messages, they discover that the Germans don't use the letter Z because it sounds like Hitler, and they avoid messages starting with weather. These insights help them narrow down the possibilities, but they still need a way to test thousands of potential decryption keys in a short amount of time. So Alan Turing invents the Bomba, one of the earliest computers ever created. It's able to test hundreds of thousands of Enigma settings in a matter of minutes. With this breakthrough, the Allies gained valuable intelligence from the decoded messages, helping them to win the war. And Turing's inventions paved the way for the digital age we live in today. Okay, now let's move on to the next part of the lesson. We all get inspired by stories of people who dared to dream big and change the world. Alan Turing and his team were no exception. Their story reminds us that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can triumph. As you explore further, remember that history is filled with untold stories, moments that shape our world but often go unnoticed. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. So join me on this journey through time and discover the stories that have shaped our world. If you enjoyed this episode and want to learn more about the amazing people who made it possible, click the subscribe button and join our community. We have lots more fascinating stories to share, and we can't wait to take you along for the ride. Thanks for watching.